Let's talk about Florida property taxes. So there's two big bills being floated out there potentially that are going to be on the next ballot in Florida. And I'd really love you guys to like, share, and comment your opinion on whether or not this is going to come to pass, whether or not we should even do it, whether or not it's going to be good for anybody, who it's going to benefit, who it's not going to benefit. I just love to start a conversation about it. So let's talk about it right now. So there's three main options right now. Something is going to happen, okay? One of three things. So number one is that we do absolutely nothing. We leave things exactly the way they are. We still pay our property taxes. Everything stays the same, okay? Option number two is that we eliminate property taxes on homesteaded properties, but you would still have to pay school taxes. So you still will have a school tax, but you would have no property taxes, which is the majority of your tax bill on your homesteaded property. And then option number three, which most people have not heard of yet, but it's out there, is what we call the nuclear option. The nuclear option is that we eliminate all property taxes on every property in the state of Florida. That is all homes, commercial properties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which would make our state very economically viable for businesses and places to want to move to. But on the other hand, what are they going to replace it with? What they plan to replace it with is a 9% sales tax. That's in addition to if you have local taxes, like in Marion County here, I think we're at like 6%. So that means, 9 and 6, what are we at? Oh my God, my brain. We're at like 15% sales tax, okay? And then also when you sell your property, you'd have to pay a 5% fee of whatever you sold it to the state, okay? So my personal opinion on this is I like the middle option, and I'll tell you why I like the middle option. So I feel like we want to build our communities around people who live there. And so I think protecting the homesteaded properties is, in my opinion, my first priority, because let's be honest, if you go into a neighborhood full of renters versus you go into a neighborhood full of owners, what do you see? In the neighborhood full of renters, you see people who don't take such good care of their properties, but in the one full of owners, you typically are going to see people who maintain their properties well, who just want to be left alone to raise their families and be able to afford to do so. All right. So I feel like that would have the most immediate impact and help the living, working families of Florida. On the other hand, the nuclear option is pretty interesting because it would bring a lot of growth and a lot of business to Florida, but I think it would also hurt, at least for the short term, 2 to 3 years, it's going to really hurt the lower income earners in the state of Florida. And let's be honest, we are not a super high income earning state like California or New York or something like that. So it would be a big hit to a lot of people who are renters, who maybe make, a single mom making $45,000 a year. Now she's got to pay 15% sales tax on everything she buys. That potentially really hurts, okay? And so unless they find some kind of middle ground with that, where they kind of give them a stipend for the lower income earners to kind of make up for it in the short term, I'd love to see the nuclear option as a whole, but it kind of concerns me that it's going to disproportionately hurt people. So I'd love to hear your opinion. Please like, follow, share, comment, tell me your opinion. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon. You guys have a great day. Bye.